Hello everyone, myself Varna. Today we are here to discuss on digestion, absorption of carbohydrates. Digestion and absorption of carbohydrates. You all know what are carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, proteins, minerals and vitamins etc. should be included in our diet for the proper growth and maintenance of our body. Carbohydrates, it is the major source of energy. The energy for the body to meet the growth and maintenance and for the metabolism is met by the amount of carbohydrates which is included in our diet. Okay, coming to the topic, carbohydrates are the major source of energy in the body, and the major dietary carbohydrates includes like starch, glycogen, sucrose, maltose, glucose, etc. You all know what are monosaccharides. Monosaccharides combine to form disaccharides, and these disaccharides would combine to form more complex forms like polysaccharides. Okay. With examples you have learned what is monosaccharide, disaccharide and polysaccharides. So this dietary carbohydrates, they are divided into digestible and undigestible group. Digestible group are that which can be digested by the digestive enzymes which is present in the digestive juices. Digestive enzymes are present in our saliva in the mouth, and it is also present in the stomach. It contains digestive juices. These digestive juices has various digestive enzymes and acids for the digestion of the food. Food particles are digested starting from the mouth, it is going down and it is also digested in the stomach, and after that it is being absorbed. So these dietary carbohydrates, they are divided into digestible and undigestible group. Under the digestible group, they can be digested by the digestive enzymes which is present in the digestive juices. So that includes the complex polysaccharides like starch, glycogen, and disaccharides like sucrose, maltose and lactose. Glycogen, you all know, it is the storage form of glucose. Excess glucose which is present in our body is converted into complex glycogen, polysaccharide glycogen. It is being converted and it is stored in our body, and it is utilized whenever there is a requirement of extra energy. The stored glycogen releases glucose. Upon its degradation, it releases glucose, and this glucose is giving energy for our body. Likewise, starch is also included in our diet. So those are the polysaccharide forms, and disaccharides like sucrose, maltose and lactose. Lactose is present in milk, that is the sugar present in the milk. So all these forms are the digestible forms. Next, you have the non-digestible groups like dietary fibers. You would have heard that fibers should be included in our diet for the proper functioning and proper, what do you say, for the proper digestion as well as for the proper, in order to prevent constipation. These cellulose and these dietary fibers would help in accumulation of water in the digested products, and it can be easily eliminated from our body. So it prevents constipation. These dietary fibers, they cannot be digested by the digestive enzymes. Digestive enzymes cannot act upon these fibers. They are undigested in our diet, and the dietary it has a property of accumulating water in it. So the digested products will be having more amount of water. Water particles will be more in the digested products, and it can be easily eliminated from the body. It helps in digestion as well as prevents constipation. So this dietary fibers is also important, and it should be included in our diet. It is mainly present in cereals as well as in fruits, dietary fibers. So that is also important, which has to be included because it has a property of retaining water by which it is preventing constipation etc. Examples of dietary fibers are cellulose, hemicellulose, pectins and gums. So, let us see in detail with the topic how these carbohydrates are being digested and absorbed in our body. So, in the diet which we take, carbohydrates is included, it reaches our mouth, we are chewing it, by which the saliva is getting in action with the food particles. So, saliva contains alpha amylase enzymes and various other enzymes which is helping in the digestion. So, digestion starts in the mouth. It starts in the mouth, by which the chewing process we are incorporating the digestive enzymes present in the saliva into the food particles. So, digestion starts in the mouth, then from the mouth it is entering into the stomach. From the stomach it is going to the duodenum, etc., and the process continues. So, it starts from the mouth, by which the saliva which is containing alpha amylase enzyme, this alpha amylase is present in the saliva and that is getting added on to the food particles, and that is then passing on to the stomach. And you know, stomach contains acid, hydrochloric acid and various digestive juices which contains various digestive enzymes. There also the process of digestion continues, and then it moves on to the duodenum where the pancreatic enzymes are coming into action, etc. Okay. The process occurs in a well defined sequence. Hydrolysis of starch and glycogen by the alpha amylase into oligosaccharides of varying length. So, first process by the alpha amylase, as I said, it is present in the saliva. So, it is helping in the hydrolysis of starch and glycogen, and it is getting converted into oligosaccharides by a varying length. Oligosaccharides having a varying length. So, there is hydrolysis of starch and glycogen. Next is hydrolysis of oligosaccharides. These oligosaccharides and disaccharides are getting converted into monomers by specific oligosaccharidases enzymes. So, first it is hydrolyzed by the alpha amylase to oligosaccharides. Next it is these oligosaccharides and disaccharides are getting converted into monomer unit, single unit it is getting converted by the oligosaccharidases enzymes which is present. Next it is these monomers or the monosaccharides are being transport of monosaccharides into the enterocytes and then to the portal circulation. So, first starch and glycogen is having, it's a complex structure, polysaccharides, it's a complex polysaccharides. So, that is being acted by the alpha amylase enzyme and it is broken down into oligosaccharides or which is having a varying length. Then that is again broken down into its monomeric forms by the oligosaccharidases enzymes which is present in the digestive enzymes, digestive juices. So, that is getting converted into its monomeric unit, and these monomers are then entering into the enterocytes and then to the portal circulation. So, that is the absorption part when it is entering into the portal circulation. Okay. First one, let us see the beginning up of the digestion of carbohydrates. First it is in the mouth. Digestion of carbohydrates begins in the mouth because it is containing saliva. This saliva is having alpha amylase enzyme. Alpha amylase enzyme is an endoglycosidase enzyme with an optimum pH of 6.7. You all know what is an optimum pH. It is the pH at which the enzyme is having its maximum activity. It will be it is more active in that pH. So, this alpha amylase is having an optimum pH of around 6.7, and it also requires the presence of chloride for its activity. Chloride ion is also required for its activity. The alpha amylase enzyme hydrolyzes the starch to alpha limit dextrins, maltose and maltotrioses by acting upon the alpha 1,4 linkages. So the starch, limit dextrins and maltoses etc., they are I mean the starch and the glycogen, those are having alpha 1,4 linkages, and these enzyme alpha amylase enzyme is acting upon the alpha 1,4 linkages of the starch and the glycogen, and it is making it converted into alpha limit dextrins and maltose and maltotrioses, that is the oligosaccharide forms of the starch. So it is acting upon the alpha 1,4 linkages. Alpha amylase is acting upon the alpha 1,4 linkages of starch and glycogen, and it is getting converted into the oligosaccharide forms like alpha limit dextrins, maltoses and maltotrioses. So there is a partial digestion occurring in the mouth. The starch is getting converted into oligosaccharides. Only partial digestion occurs in the mouth. Next, after the mouth, it is moving into the stomach, and in the stomach you all know there is gastric secretion and also hydrochloric acid, which is giving an acidic pH. The stomach contains hydrochloric acid. The glycosidases are absent in gastric secretion. The action of the salivary amylase is also inhibited by the acidic pH in the stomach. So, salivary amylase, when it is reaching along with the food particles into the stomach, it is getting inactivated by the acidic pH. Since hydrochloric acid is present in the stomach, it is having an acidic pH. So, in that presence, the salivary amylase is being destroyed. The action of hydrochloric acid hydrolyzes some dietary sucroses to glucose and fructose. This hydrochloric acid is hydrolyzing the dietary sucroses to glucose and fructose. Monomer unit, monosaccharides. Sucrose is a disaccharide, it is getting converted into its monomeric forms, that is glucose and fructose. Hydrochloric is hydrolyzing sucrose to glucose and fructose. Next is in the duodenum. Duodenum, highly acidic pH of partially digested food contents is neutralized by the bicarbonate HCO3 in the pancreatic juice. So, in the duodenum, the acidic pH is neutralized. So, when it is leaving the stomach, when the food particles are leaving the stomach, it is highly acidic, and when it reaches the duodenum, it is neutralized by the HCO3 present in the pancreatic juice. Another alpha amylase which is present in the pancreatic juice is called as pancreatic amylase, which is having an optimum pH of 7.1. So, pancreatic amylase is present in the duodenum, and it is having an optimum pH of around 7.1. It can hydrolyze starch to alpha limit dextrins, maltoses and maltotrioses by acting upon the alpha 1,4 linkages. Like same in the salivary amylase, it also hydrolyzes the starch into alpha limit dextrins, maltoses and maltotrioses by acting upon the alpha 1,4 linkages. Next, it is moving into the small intestine. From the duodenum, it is moving into the small intestine, where the intestinal juices are coming in contact with it. The intestinal juices consist of different glycosidases enzymes. So, let us see what are the different glycosidases enzymes which is present in the intestinal juices. There is many. First one, intestinal amylase, which acts upon the alpha 1,4 linkages in the terminal end of the polysaccharides to liberate free glucose residues. So, the intestinal amylase is acting upon the same as that of salivary amylase. It is acting upon the alpha 1,4 linkages of the polysaccharides which is present, and it is liberating its monomeric forms, glucose residues. Free glucose is released. Next enzyme is isomaltase enzyme, which acts upon the alpha 1,6 linkages. It breaks the alpha 1,6 linkages in the alpha limit dextrins. It is acting upon the alpha 1,6 linkages of the alpha limit dextrins. These alpha limit dextrins, upon acting by the isomaltase enzyme, it is getting converted into maltose. The third enzyme, it is lactase enzyme, otherwise called as beta galactosidase enzyme. This lactase enzyme will act upon lactose. It helps in the hydrolysis of lactose, and this lactose is seen in milk. It is the sugar present in milk. Lactase enzyme helps in hydrolysis of beta 1,4 linkages in lactose, and it is getting converted into its monomeric form, that is D-glucose and D-galactose. Lactose, in presence of lactase enzyme, it undergoes hydrolysis on the first and the fourth linkages, beta 1,4 linkages, and it is giving out D-glucose and D-galactose. Next enzyme is maltase enzyme, and this maltase enzyme is helping in the hydrolysis of the first alpha 1,4 linkages. Alpha 1,4 linkages in maltose is hydrolyzed by the maltase enzyme to give glucose. 2 molecules of glucose is evolved. Maltose, in presence of maltase enzyme, is getting converted into 2-D-glucose. It is acting upon the alpha 1,4 linkages of the maltose, and it is giving 2 molecules of D-glucose. Next one is the sucrase enzyme. Sucrase enzyme helps in the hydrolysis of sucrose. Sucrose, it is made up of glucose and fructose. So, it is helping in the hydrolysis of sucrose into glucose and fructose. D-glucose and D-fructose is formed from sucrose by the sucrase enzyme. So, that is with the digestion of carbohydrates. Here is the summary in which you can explain with the diagram, that is starting from the mouth. Digestion of carbohydrates starts from the mouth, and the sources of these carbohydrates in the form of starch, glycogen, lactose, sucrose, cellulose. Cellulose is the undigested form, undigested fiber form. Other all is the digestive group of carbohydrates. It is reaching the mouth, where in which it is getting in action with alpha amylase enzyme, which is present in the saliva, and then it is getting converted into limit dextrins, starch dextrins, isomaltase, maltose, lactose, sucrose, cellulose, etc. Cellulose will not get digested, it is as such. Then it is moving on to the stomach. Stomach is containing hydrochloric acid, so there is low pH, and this low pH is stopping the action of alpha amylase, which is present in the saliva. Then the stomach doesn't have any gastric secretions. Then it is moving to the duodenum, wherein it is coming in contact with the pancreatic amylase, and here also again hydrolysis takes place, in which it is getting converted into isomaltase, maltose and lactose. The one which was not digested in the mouth and the stomach, it is getting hydrolyzed in the pancreas. That is, the oligosaccharides is getting converted into the disaccharide or the dextrin forms. Then again it is getting hydrolyzed. These isomaltase, maltose, lactose, sucrose is again getting broken down or hydrolyzed by the intestinal secretions. Enzymes, different enzymes is acting upon, and it is converted into its monomeric forms, that is glucose, galactose and fructose. All those monosaccharides are finally formed, glucose, fructose and galactose. Mucosal cell membrane bound enzymes like isomaltase, glycoamylase, lactase, sucrase, etc. is acting upon and forming the monomeric unit. Monosaccharides are formed, and that is entering into the portal circulation and then to the liver for storage. Cellulose, as it is a undigested carbohydrate, it is not acted upon by the enzymes. Next, let's have a look on the disorders associated with the digestion of carbohydrates. The very common one or very famous one is the lactose intolerance. It is mostly seen in infants and also in adults. Infants often having diarrhea or abdominal pain or indigestion will be suspected for lactose intolerance because their main diet is milk, and the milk contains lactase, and lactase is hydrolyzed by lactose, and if this lactose is deficient, there will be accumulation of lactate in the gut, which is leading to diarrhea or indigestion problems. Lactose intolerance seen rarely in some infants and adults, caused by the genetic deficiency or reduced activity of enzyme lactase. Lactose accumulates in the gut, and the symptoms are like diarrhea, abdominal pain, distensions, etc. It is due to the accumulation of the lactose in the gut. Lactose appear in the urine in some conditions, and it is called as lactosuria, presence of lactose in urine, lactosuria. Here the treatment is to avoid lactose in the diet, lactose-free diet. Other deficiency are like sucrase deficiency and disaccharidase deficiency. In sucrase deficiency, it is an inherited deficiency of sucrase leading to sucrose accumulation in gut. Symptoms are similar to that of lactase deficiency. Disaccharidase deficiency is deficiency of some disaccharide splitting enzymes.